Welcome to another episode of Collective Conversations. We are here at NAA, the 2023 version of Apartmentalize, and we have Gary Gregory with us.
I'm going to save that. That is going to be like my voicemail.
The one and only Gary Gregory. How are you doing, Gary?
I am amazing. It's so exciting to be here. Just so many people. They were talking about it. This is breaking one of the attendance records here at NAA. Almost 12,000 attendees here at this conference. It's absolutely amazing.
Oh, well, I was actually wondering about that. I know we're on the heels of COVID, and that's fantastic for all the downsides of COVID. It brought us all together in a different way, but now we're back and fully open, and I was wondering what the attendance was going to be like this year.
Yeah, I don't have an exact number, but that's what I heard. They've said it from the stage, so it has to be legit.
It's credible from the stage. All right. Gary, I'm super interested in knowing what has resonated with you so far in this conference and maybe what you're looking forward to.
So one of the things is, just connecting with people, and it's such a small industry. And so no matter how big it gets, it's still a small industry. And so you're walking through the hallways and everything, and you're connecting with people that you have seen at different conferences, or maybe you've worked with them in other capacities before. So one of the things I really look forward to is just connecting with the people that you see online, but seeing them in person is just such a unique experience to really make that connection. Is probably number one. Number two is just, of course, the presentations, the seminars.
Yeah.
And a lot of that information is tremendous. And so I know these speakers put a lot of time and energy and effort to putting these presentations together.
Oh, yeah.
So that they can present it and share their wisdom with the audience and everyone that comes here. And so those are always great to attend and really see the effort poured into those and get shared. And then, of course, just watching the audience around you, they're taking notes and really engaged with conversations, and so that's probably one of the second things that I enjoy about this.
Well, let's riff off the first one. You are like the master networker. I've seen you all over LinkedIn, pictures with everyone. I do have a curiosity, which I don't know if you can tell me or not. So Paul is walking around with a book that has a little clasp on it, and you know the secret.
I just found out the secret. In fact, I saw Paul moments ago at another booth area, and so connected. He just shared the secret with me. And in fact, Mike, let me be the first one to share with you. The secret is, I can't tell you.
It's a secret.
But the great news is he did ask specifically where you were so that he could personally share the secret with you.
Oh.
So I told him where you're located.
Okay.
Here
at this booth.
Here at this booth. He said he's going to come find you so that he can share with you. And it's, you know what, I know I can't share. But it was actually very exciting what he's doing.
Okay.
And so I can't share any more than that beyond, it's really cool. It's really neat.
I wonder if we can get him to reveal it on the show.
Ooh, you could have the scoop.
It's not a live show. We're going to record, we're going to release this later. So
right.
Maybe he can.
Hey, if anybody could do it.
We're going to scoop that information. We're going to get it out to you. All right, so those are some of the things that that have resonated with you so far, networking, educational. Is there anything when you were in Dallas, making your way to the airport, thinking about Apartmentalize, you were thinking, I need to walk away with X? What is the X factor for Gary?
You know what, it's just one of the interesting points that the buzzword, if you will, is the centralization buzzword. And so there's a lot of conversation about that. I've heard across, from your conversations with it, and I've heard it through, LinkedIn information. And so here at the conference at NAA, there's a lot of sessions about centralization. And so for me, what I want to take away is what is kind of the depth of the conversation. Where is it heading? How far have some of the other companies gotten to with the centralization word? And one of the sessions that I went to earlier, they stopped using the word centralization, which was interesting to me. They started using the word specialized.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a unique concept because, of course, the word centralization for some that could be, quote unquote, impacted by it has a negative connotation. And so if you start shifting the language a little bit where, hey, we're not necessarily centralizing and taking your job away, we're going to specialize you to use your gifts, skills, and talents so that you can be the best at what you're doing. So we're going to specialize and not centralize. I thought that was a pretty brilliant approach. That was a great takeaway that I received from one of the sessions this morning.
You know, what I hear in that is, let's just use HVAC because it seems like low-hanging fruit. So somebody is very, very good at repairing HVAC equipment. You're specializing you're sort of centralizing all of the HVAC equipment repairs and tasking this person who is very good at that, probably feels really good about doing it and giving that work to them. Is that the right takeaway?
Absolutely. So, I mean, you've got somebody that knows, they've gone to school, they've been certified, HVAC universal license and everything. So they're certified in that and they're really good and they continue to grow that skill set. And then because they're so proficient at that task, then they're able to complete that task quickly to the customer satisfaction. And they do it, under cost because they know what to look for and how to address it appropriately. So you translate that over to, say, in an office setting where, a person's skill set may not be books, but they're great at assisting customers and creating a better experience for the residents or whatnot. So you take away the distraction, that's, the administrative work or doing accounting or whatever that task may be, and you let them focus on what they're good at. And so they continue, as you say, do the reps. Mm-hmm. They continue to grow, get better and better and better at it, and then they're creating better experiences under cost, creating better renewals and so forth. So because they're specializing in that task of sorts, and so it's a really unique take on centralization to specialization, if you will. So I was really excited to hear that concept. It really did open my eyes to this new approach.
I like that. I think the other thing I heard you say that I really like is there are team members, let's say in the field, even in the corporate levels, that could be intimidated by the idea of a centralized sort of effort to get things done and or automation entering into the conversation. And this seems like a way where you can avoid that, or at least mitigate the anxiety that's around that.
Because I think a lot of times when people hear the word centralization, they're like, oh my God, they're going to take my job away because they're going to put it in some, corporate space, or they're going to outsource it across the country where they're going to take my job, so I'm out of a job. So that's like the initial fear I believe a lot of people may have when they hear that word. But I like the shift of it is, hey, we're not centralizing, we're specializing so that you can be the best at the skills that you have, that we need your skill set because you're amazing at customer experience, or you're amazing at lease ups, or you're amazing at XYZ task. So we want to eliminate the distractions so that you can focus on what you're great at or what you're good at, and you become great at it, and you become an incredible asset to the company. So you're almost like ensuring you've got a spot there because you've gone from good to great in your specialized field. And so it becomes a new perspective of looking at what the future could become.
Let's riff on that a second. The idea that let's do it under the premise of a groundswell, right? So a person who is working in the field today or in a corporate setting who feels like they hear all this going on in the environment, but their company has not made a move in this direction. What would you say to that person who, the movement is happening, right? You and I do. Everybody here does. But this person might not. What would you encourage them to do to get that conversation started in their organization?
Well, I think it's, if your company has not begun that conversation, they probably have. They just have not shared it or have broadcast it to what we'll call the general public.
Sure.
So my encouragement is to start exploring it a little bit. This is the kind of change or shift in our industry that, dare I say, is inevitable.
I believe that's
so
right.
there's a function to it that all of us are going to need to understand a little bit more about it. So if your company's not broadcasting that conversation to the general, community, start exploring it a little bit more. Get yourself familiarized with what is happening out there. understand what it means, how it could impact you personally. And then once you start kind of have a foundation understanding of what it could be, what it might be, or even what kind of suggestions you would like to present, get yourself a little more knowledgeable about it, however you can, whatever knowledge you can find, ask questions, then start bringing up the conversation. And you may be surprised that conversations are happening behind the scenes, behind closed doors. And if you add a little color to it, add a little your perspective to it, you may just be invited into the conversations to help that become a reality, and you become part of that conversation, part of that implementation team in some respect.
I like that. Instead of potentially waiting around and having something happen to you, you be proactive in being a part of the conversation.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time is, raise your hand, because people aren't going to raise it for you. And so if there's something that you want, if it's something that you want to do or something you want to be a part of, raise your hand. Let them know that you have an interest in whatever it may be. But if you don't raise your hand, if you don't do a little, study, exploration of what it is, then you may miss out on an opportunity. And you could be that critical person that could help kind of tip the scales to one way or another. But it's just simply raising your hand.
That's right. Take the initiative.
Yeah.
Okay, we're switching gears. You are an author and a podcaster, and I'd be remiss not to give you the opportunity to talk about your book, most recent, because I know you've written 4 now, or at least co-authored and authored, been a part of 4 different books, which I think is awesome. I absolutely admire that.
Thank you.
And then your podcast, which I think is, for that person that we were just talking about, a great place to go is to Gary's podcast. So I want to give you the opportunity to talk about both of those things really quickly before we wrap here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I've got a new book called The SUPERFANTASTIC Me. It's available on Amazon. It's essentially, in a nutshell, gives somebody an opportunity to work through, to curate their principles and core values, because I believe when you have your own principles and core values, you can add more value not only to your life, but to your personal life and your professional life. And it really does make a difference when you're able to curate those. My podcast, Super Fantastic Exchange, is available on YouTube, where I get to connect with the leaders. You've been one of them. And all I do is I ask, what inspires you? And I think that's such an intriguing question, because there really is a lot behind the scenes. When you see somebody out there doing all the amazing things that they're doing, there's something behind the scenes, there's something internal that inspires them. And so I've always wanted to know what that is. It's my curiosity factor. So, can I mention about your book?
Yes.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you've got a book coming up, so I would be remiss if I didn't bring that up.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very, very close. It's called the Daily Collective, and it's 366 pieces of business wisdom that I've collected and curated over the years, packed into like January 1st is a little passage, January 2nd, so on and so forth. And so once I can figure out how to get it into Amazon and self-publish it, it'll be out in the world.
I'll help you. I know how to do it. All I ask is I want an autographed copy. That's my big ask.
Done. I'll get one for you.
Perfect.
Well, Gary, I want to thank you for stopping by and investing a little bit of time with us. We get this content out into the world. We'll link your book, which, by the way, the book is a workbook, and you get to actually a lot of fantastic questions and exercises and picking words that actually, sort of translate into your values. I went through the thing myself and found it awesome. It was fantastic. So I'd encourage everybody to get that. We'll put a link in the show notes for that, and also for the podcast. And Gary, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care of yourself.
You too.
All right. Hydrate here at NAA. All right. Bye now.
Bye.